There's a rumor that in the heart of an old hospital long abandoned after a series of mysterious deaths, there is a room that breathes. Room 308. No one knows how or why, but when you stand outside the door, you can hear it slow, deep inhales and exhales, like something massive is alive inside. One night, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate. Among them was Jake, a skeptic, who mocked the stories as just cheap urban legends. They made their way through the crumbling halls, flashlights flickering in the damp, moldy air. When they reached the third floor, the air grew heavy, suffocating. The faint sound of breathing slow and rhythmic started to echo through the corridor. Jake laughed nervously, leading the group toward room 308, the door hanging slightly ajar. "You hear that? Just the wind," Jake said, pushing the door open. Inside, the room was empty except for an old hospital bed, rusted and covered in torn sheets. But the sound of breathing was louder now, as though the very walls were inhaling and exhaling. The others hesitated, but Jake, determined to prove them wrong, stepped in. As soon as his foot crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind him with a deafening bang. The group outside pounded on the door, but it wouldn't budge. Jake spun around, flashlight beam cutting through the dark. The breathing grew faster, more frantic. The walls around him seemed to pulse, swelling with each inhale, contracting with each exhale. He felt it under his feet. The floor moved, almost imperceptibly, like a giant chest rising and falling beneath him. Then he heard something else, a low, guttural growl, coming from the bed. Jake froze. The sheets began to twist and writhe as if something was beneath them. Slowly, a figure began to rise from the bed, covered in the tattered cloth, its form long and thin, stretching in ways no human body should. He backed away, heart racing, but the room seemed smaller now. The walls were closing in, breathing faster and faster, the air thick with the sound of wet, gasping breaths. Jake's flashlight flickered, then went out. The growling grew louder. Something cold and wet brushed his neck, and he realized it wasn't the room breathing. It was whatever was inside it. The last thing Jake heard before everything went dark was a whisper in his ear. "It's hungry." When the door finally opened, the room was empty. No Jake, just a bed, perfectly made, and the sound of slow, deep breathing, continuing as it always had.